It just makes them hard to focus on. It makes them
Hmm.
harder to allow a defense to orient towards them. So yeah. All right, other stuff in the division. Go. Observations.
Yeah, I had to take it back to Indy 11 because they're
Okay.
doing weird things again, and I love to see it. The lineup this time out with Pittsburgh in town, it is Loic Masanvi, pretty classic left winger off that side, Bruno Rendon off the right, and then Noble Okello reinvented as a number nine. Now, Noble Okello caught a lot of grief on this show last season in Phoenix as a ostensibly ball stopping number eight that didn't really do a lot of ball stopping. What Indy has decided is he's very good in the air. He is willing to throw his body around. Let's see what we can do by making him a forward. And so in this game against Pittsburgh, he attempts 13 aerial duels and he only wins four of them. But that doesn't matter because you've got Jack Blake, you've got Josh O'Brien underneath him winning balls. And as soon as that happens, it is the speed up the sidelines. You're letting Masanvi and Rendon do their thing. I'm not here to tell you it was the most dominant performance that a team has put up this season, but in the way that Sean McCauley wants to set up, in terms of being direct and vertical, tilting the pitch, taking the lead and trusting that your defense can see it out, that is real talent maximization, real thinking outside of the box. It's the best way to use Noble Okello, given how Indy wants to play soccer.
Let's be clear. Noble Okello was a ball
Let me be
stopping
clear.
midfielder last year. Just sometimes he would stop the ball for Phoenix in the midfield. And like,
We
remember he
cannot make the Obama impression a go-to on this show. I'm just going to say that now.
I mean, there are presidents that I would less than be willing to
That's true.
impersonate than him. So yeah,
Peyton, do we have the ability to bounce off this Indy 11 point by going to the scatter plot here?
let's do that. Yes, hopefully the computer
Because
doesn't decide to off itself.
this is Indy's bread and butter. This
Yes.
is a
Okay.
special graph.
Graph. Go.
They are stylistically extreme this season in a way that is even more marked than last year and even more distinct from what everybody else is trying to do. So that's requiring weird things to happen. I think the Okello deployment is a byproduct of that, right? Indy has forwards. Charlie Sharp is just coming back from injury. So why not put the 6'5"
Yeah.
guy at
So
forward and see
so
what gives?
what you're seeing on screen right now is something that Ryan cooked up with a scatter plot that has the cross comparison of passes per possession versus shots on the X and Y axis. And as you see, as just an illustrator of the point, Tampa Bay Rowdies. Typically, when you're looking at teams around the league or any level of soccer, the longer you have the ball, the harder it is to generate an actual chance. Other teams get back behind the ball. It's just a truism. Every coach in the league believes this. It's a fact. When you have really high quality players like Tampa, that rule breaks. It's an exception that proves the rule. And then out there on Mars is Indy
There you go.
11 with two passes per possession, which is so far the last in the league, and 14 shots per game.
Yeah, in the great words of Nickelback, look at this graph, right? Like, I mean,
God, this,
we'll get to the Tampa point. There's a couple of fun points within this USL Championship team style scatter plot that I brought to the table thanks to American Soccer Analysis, who cooked it up actually. Um, just barely two passes per possession, which is, to be frank, not a bad thing. Like
no,
two passes per possession or five, it's not a good or a bad thing. It's a stylistic choice. So let's not just assume that if you have more than four passes per possession, you're a good team, and if you have less, you're bad, because that's a stylistic choice.
right.
You can see Tulsa there, far to the left, the second least passes per possession in the league. Everybody that watches this show would say they're a good team. Indy 11 to this point is almost arguably the most efficient team in the league. They don't pass the ball a lot, but they create a lot of chances, a lot of goals. They have more than 14 shots per game, north of 2.0 xG per game. This is a team that is maximizing its physicality. They start in this game, John, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Noble Okello, and then Bruno Rendon, who's 6'1, 6'2. Am I right
He
about
might
that?
be
Is
taller
he?
than that. Yeah,
He's a big boy.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
He's
think he
a
might be
physical
6'3".
freak. And then you have Josh O'Brien, center back, Anthony Herbert, Paco Craig, center backs. Oh, we got the thumbs up going here. That's great. Um, and then you have Cam Limley as an operator, Hayden White, who's a bigger right back, or I guess fullback in this game. So they have this weird balance of creators like Aiden Quinn or Jack Blake or Loic Masanvi, and then big physical guys that they can be direct to. And then, as John pointed out, they can bounce the ball off of and get them to the creators and progress up the field very quickly to get into the attacking third very quickly in very few passes and generate shots. And if you're generating shots, doesn't matter if it's a good shot, that's a stylistic choice to get the ball up the field and shoot the ball to create a chance. Are you creating a good chance, a clear XG, opportunity that you're going to score, I don't know, 65 out of 100 times? Probably not, but you are generating an opportunity to score a goal, which is what a shot is. Um, they're very direct. This graph shows you that. It's a really neat look into what Sean McCauley has created this year in Indy, this almost Frankenstein's monster of a creation that this team is. Big, hulking behemoth of a creature that I think is going to cause a lot of teams problems over the course of the year. It doesn't mean they'll win games, but they will cause headaches for lots of managers.
It is a hulking behemoth, but last year's team was also a hulking behemoth. It's the
Mm-hmm.
Masanvi and the activation of Rendon and the fact that
Yes.
they've got attacking depth. That's why I'm feeling bullish about Indy in a way that they
Yeah.
never inspired last season.
This is one of those things where things start quietly long before you think they do in many instances. And Sean McCauley talked about this in the middle of last year, where the light bulb kind of flipped on for him that it is easier to destroy than create. And maybe we should take an approach. Like, I'll be forthright enough to say that he talked to me about this at one point last year. He first said it on their local podcast, and in preparation for a game, it's something that I talked to him about, where it's like when you look at his English managerial career, albeit brief, and the approach and the way it's different, especially for lower league clubs in things like the FA Cup, sometimes it can just be about maximizing efficiency to reduce the gap when the talent isn't there. And he started to do it last year. This team and this roster feels much more equipped for him to lean into that. And I think we are seeing that to an extent. What we don't have an answer for is, like, what is the realistic ceiling for something like that? So far, it's been a lot
It's
of
FC
low-scoring
Tulsa
games.
winning the Western Conference.
But I don't
That's what the
think
ceiling
any
is.
of us think that this looks like what Tulsa looked like at the start of last year, right?
Sure, sure. Yeah, I'm playing devil's advocate in to an extent because there isn't a Taylor Calhera here. Noble Okello isn't going to be that guy who can be the game changer. But I do think when you get to a playoff environment, if Indy is there, we just saw Pittsburgh grit their way to a
That's
title.
true.
Granted, they became more attacking minded and possessive as it went on.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, things are weird in November, and Indy is showing me the upside to be something.
Well, and to that point, there's much more Tulsa than Pittsburgh in this team because of the rotation of bodies. Like, this group is deeper. They've played how many different combinations of center backs so far this year? It
A
feels like it's been a
lot.
different one in every game.
17.
And the way that they've been able to rotate bodies through allows them to probably play this higher octane, more jocular, more physical style of play with consistency throughout the course of the year without annihilating their entire roster.
I'm out of the Open Cup now, which helps them.
Yeah. Yeah, which I think is actually kind
When
of, unfortunately, a common theme probably for championship teams, as we saw last year. MLS. Well, I'm curious to see what happens in this round, but I do generally think for a lot of USL teams, it's more helpful to kind of be out of that competition. Unfortunately.
I have to get this off the chest because when John said they have Noble Okello, not Taylor Calhera, I could only think of the Colin Cowherd, Taylor Calhera. We're okay. We got Noble Okello. Noble Okello's here,
Lone
which is
striker.
just too much for me. To stay on this, and we'll go quickly here because this observation was more about Indy. Tampa are where you want to be, I think, as a team. You have a lot of the ball. You're in the upper right quadrant of this graph, which doesn't necessarily, again, mean it's good, but actually I would say it does in this case because you have a lot of the ball. You're possessing, multiple passes per possession on average, yet you are somehow generating, 18 shots,
Mm-hmm.
17 shots per game here. Um, to me, that's a sign of superior coaching, superior play style, along with superior talent. You have the best players in the league. They have the best roster in the league. They are being well coached, like we have talked about over the last couple of weeks, like you guys talked about a lot on the show last week with how Dom is getting the most out of this team, and they have the most talent. Further evidence alongside this graph, they've got 5 substitute goals this year, 2 from Evan Conway, who got the winner this week. They're pushing the right buttons with their elite players, their elite depth off the bench. Um, Everything right now would point to Tampa Bay Rowdies being the best team in the division. I wouldn't say by a comfortable margin because it's only April the 6th as of showing you this live today. So like too much time to say, hey, Tampa Bay in the field.
Mm-hmm.
But right now it's Tampa Bay, and then like there's a couple of teams eking on them, but this is still the best team in the league.
Well,
And them being there shows you that because they are having the ball, being efficient with the ball, and it's hard to be that efficient as you can see because everybody else is with that many possessions is in the bottom right, yet Tampa is soaring away with a lot of shots.
well, and again, like I just put up to indicate like kind of the territorial aspect of this. John did the work of providing a similar graph for us that is measuring on the bottom axis the passes per possession against touches in the opposition box. Because in a lot of ways, the shots are an indicator of just volume of opportunity, but the box touches are a better indicator of where that is happening. And the fact that Tampa is top of this, playing a very different style, in the top right corner in passes per possession. But Indy are right there and are averaging 29 box touches per game, which for a team that had a lot of penalties last year, has a lot of big guys, feels like they scored a penalty in this game. That feels like something that actually could manifest again throughout the course of the year. It's just free goals for them with a lot of good penalty takers too. Like it's just such a clever maximization of what they've got and how to elevate the floor of this group that's never going to have the top line talent of some of the other teams in the league. Yeah. John, thanks for making the graph. How'd you do it?
Wizardry, witchcraft.
Took the data from Opta, formatted it in Excel, did the logos with Tableau.
Tableau.
I don't know what that is.
It's like a data viz thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Peyton, is it asking too much to maybe go back to the
Yes.
passes per possession to shots? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. If the audience that had our visual can remember that, we saw where Tampa Bay was in the top right, and then Charleston was kind of in that muddled group of teams in the bottom right, where it's, hey, we have the ball a lot, or we have more passes per possession, yet we're not generating shots. They are under 12. They're at about 11 shots per game this year. Last year's Charleston team was one of 2 teams to average more than 5 passes per possession. The other was really easy.
Labubu FC.
Wait, that's the question again.
Charleston last year, Charleston Battery in 2025 was one of 2 teams to average more than 5 passes per possession.
New Mexico.
That was New Mexico.
Yeah.
How many shots per game did New Mexico average, you think?
8.
Just north of 10. How many did Charleston average?
16.
Almost 15.
Okay.
So last year, we saw a Charleston team that was really good at having the ball for long stints and really good at generating chances. This year, we see a Charleston team that is pretty good at holding the ball, but not generating the same amount of chances. To me, that is a sign of you don't have JD creating chances, or in this case, because it's shots, chucking from 30 yards, because that's what he did well a lot of the time. Just Steph Currying from, outside the 18. And you do not have Cal Jennings as this tour de force number 9 that could create something from nothing. So when we talk about Charleston and trying to build something like we did in the first segment of the show, that's that. They don't have 2 elite USL Championship players to help turn their passes per possession, their possessions, their efficiency into shot chances and into scoring opportunities higher up the pitch. That's what they're missing right now. That was the last kind of interesting point from that graph that I thought I'd